All right, so get this. We've got Ann Telnaes.
Ann Telnaes.
Yeah, Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial cartoonist.
Wow.
And she just walked away from the Washington Post.
Oh, really?
And no, she didn't snag a new gig or anything. She just quit straight up in protest.
Huh.
So we got to unpack this.
Yeah.
Like, what led her to such a drastic decision?
Well, first you have to understand.
Yeah.
Editorial cartoons, they're not just funny drawings, right? They have a real bite to them.
Yeah.
Historically, they've been like a cornerstone of democratic societies, using satire, visual commentary to really call out those in power.
Okay, so like a sharp visual op-ed.
Exactly.
Okay.
Often using humor to deliver some serious punches.
Yeah.
And Ann Telnaes, she's no stranger to this arena.
Right.
She's been a champion for freedom of expression for years.
Yeah.
Even working with organizations like the Freedom Cartoonists Foundation, Cartoonist Rights Network.
Okay.
So this wasn't some impulsive move.
Right.
This was a pro making a calculated stand.
So she obviously didn't take this decision lightly.
Yeah.
What was like the tipping point that led her to quit the Washington Post?
Well, she actually published an article on Substack.
Oh, my.
Detailing her reasons.
Okay.
And it all boils down to one cartoon that the Washington Post refused to publish.
Wait, hold on. She's been with the Post since 2008, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in all that time, they never flat out rejected one of her cartoons before?
She says she's had, revisions, discussions, but never a complete rejection based on the content itself.
Okay.
And this wasn't just like a poorly executed or unclear cartoon.
Right, right.
Telnaes is a master of her craft.
Yeah.
The issue was who she was targeting with her satire.
Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me who was in the crosshairs of this controversial cartoon.
Get this. She went after billionaire tech and media CEOs who were reportedly cozying up to the incoming president-elect Trump at Mar-a-Lago.
Okay, Mar-a-Lago.
These are folks with lucrative government contracts and a vested interest in things like deregulation.
Ah, I see where this is going. So these individuals stand to gain quite a bit from this new administration.
Exactly.
And what's the connection to the Washington Post?
Well, one of the figures in the cartoon was Jeff Bezos.
Oh.
The owner of the Washington Post himself.
Ooh, she went there.
Yeah.
That's biting the hand that feeds you to a whole new level.
Well, from Telnaes' perspective.
Yeah.
It's more like biting the hand that's trying to silence her.
Okay.
She sees the Post's decision to kill her cartoon as a dangerous precedent.
Yeah.
That threatens the very idea of a free press.
Right.
This becomes even more concerning.
Yeah.
Considering the incoming president's track record of being
less than receptive
to
media criticism.
Yeah.
And Telnaes specifically called out these powerful figures by name in the cartoon.
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
Mark Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, Patrick Soon-Shiong, and even representatives of the Walt Disney Company.
Wow.
And ABC News.
Okay, so she's not just pointing fingers at some vague concept of the powerful.
Right.
She's calling out individuals with immense influence and power.
Exactly.
Who are actively engaging with the new administration. So she's basically saying that the Post's decision to kill the cartoon is a form of appeasement to these powerful figures, which in turn undermines the role of the press in holding them accountable.
Precisely. And this brings us to the heart of Telnaes' argument.
Okay.
She believes that news organizations have a special obligation to protect a free press, particularly in a democracy.
Right.
They're trying to appease powerful figures. They are essentially chipping away at that foundation.
And for Telnaes, this isn't just some theoretical concern.
Right.
This is a slippery slope.
It is.
And she's drawing a line in the sand.
She is.
And her closing statement in the article, democracy dies in darkness.
Powerful.
Wow, that quote sends chills down my spine.
It's a good one.
You don't often hear a Pulitzer Prize winner use such strong language.
Right.
It really highlights the gravity of the situation, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
Yeah, because if a free press is the light that exposes corruption and holds power accountable, then silencing that press is like plunging a democracy into darkness.
Yeah.
And that's the danger Telnaes is warning us about.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got this incredible backdrop. A renowned cartoonist quitting a prestigious job because she believes her freedom of expression is being compromised.
Right.
But let's get specific about the cartoon itself.
Okay.
Like, what exactly did it depict?
Sure.
What visual elements did Telnaes use to make her point?
Mm-hmm.
After all, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Understanding the cartoon's visuals is key.
Okay.
Remember, editorial cartoons often rely on satire, exaggeration, to drive home their message.
Right.
And Telnaes is a master at using visual metaphors and symbolism to make her point.
Okay, so let's zoom in on that cartoon.
Okay.
What did it actually show?
Right.
Give us a sense of what Telnaes created and how she used those visual elements to satirize the situation.
Well, imagine this. Bezos, Zuckerberg, and the other CEOs, they're depicted as like eager beavers practically tripping over themselves to get into Trump's good graces.
Okay, I can picture it like there's a definite like boys club vibe going on there. Was there anything specific about their portrayal that stood out?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Telnaes used exaggerated features and body language.
To really emphasize their eagerness to please Trump.
Okay.
For instance, Bezos might be drawn with like a ridiculously wide grin, practically drooling over the prospect of deregulation.
So she's using those visual cues to make a point about their motive and their willingness to compromise their principles for personal gain.
Exactly. And that's where the power of editorial cartooning comes in.
Yeah.
It can convey complex ideas and critiques in a way that words sometimes can't.
Right.
A single image can pack a powerful punch.
It's almost like a visual shorthand, cutting right to the heart of the matter.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this particular cartoon, it highlights a tension that's becoming increasingly prevalent. The traditional role of journalism as a watchdog versus the increasing concentration of media ownership in the hands of a few powerful
individuals and corporations.
It's a tricky situation, isn't it?
It is.
We rely on the press to hold the powerful accountable. But what happens when the very people they're supposed to be scrutinizing are the ones signing their paychecks?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is.
And it's something we all need to be thinking about.
For sure.
How can news organizations maintain their independence and integrity when they are beholden to powerful interests?
Wait, it's like a paradox.
Yeah.
The press needs to be free to report without fear or favor.
Right.
But they also need financial backing to operate.
Of course.
And it makes you wonder, like, how many stories are being suppressed or watered down to avoid upsetting those in power.
That's the chilling implication, isn't it?
It is.
If someone like Telnaes, a Pulitzer Prize winner,
with a platform, can be silenced.
Yeah.
What hope is there for
other journalists? Especially those without her level of recognition or job security.
Exactly.
And even beyond journalists.
Yeah.
What does this say about the average citizen's ability to speak truth to power?
That's a good question.
If Telnaes can be silenced, what about those of us without her credentials or influence?
It's a sobering thought for sure.
It is.
And this situation really underscores the importance of supporting independent media outlets and organizations that champion press freedom.
Right.
These entities play a crucial role in ensuring that a diversity of viewpoints can be heard.
But let's be real, there are always going to be powerful individuals and corporations who want to shape the narrative to their advantage.
Yes.
So how do we as individuals navigate this complex media landscape?
Yeah, it's tough.
How can we distinguish between
genuine reporting and attempts to manipulate public opinion?
Well, first and foremost, we have to be more discerning consumers of information.
Okay.
We can't just passively absorb whatever is fed to us.
Right.
We need to be critical thinkers, always asking questions, seeking out different perspectives.
Okay.
Don't just get your news from one source.
Right.
Especially that one controlled by a powerful individual or corporation.
So it's about being proactive and diversifying our information intake.
Yes.
Don't just stay in your comfortable echo chamber.
Exactly.
Right.
And when you encounter a piece of information, ask yourself some key questions.
Okay. Like what?
Who's behind this information?
Right.
What are their motives?
Right.
Are they presenting a balanced view? Or are they cherry-picking facts
Okay.
to support a particular agenda?
It's almost like becoming
your own fact checker and media critic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about being aware of what is being said, but also what is not being said.
You're spot on. Right. Pay attention to what stories are being highlighted and which ones are being buried or downplayed.
Okay.
Look for patterns in how different outlets cover the same event.
It's like being a detective, following the trail of information, looking for clues that reveal the bigger picture.
Precisely.
Right.
And remember, this isn't just some intellectual exercise.
Right.
This has real-world consequences.
Okay.
When the press is compromised, it weakens our ability to hold those in power accountable for their actions.
Right.
And that can have a devastating impact on our democracy and society as a whole.
Think about it this way. If a company can silence a critic, like Telnaes, what might they do to an average employee who raises concerns about unethical practices or safety violations?
That's scary to think about.
Or imagine a government that controls all the media outlets.
Right.
What would happen to dissenting voices then?
These are the scenarios we need to be vigilant about.
We do.
And Telnaes' decision to walk away from her prestigious position is a stark reminder that we can't take a free press for granted.
We can't.
We need to be protecting it.
Okay. So we've talked about the importance of being critical consumers of information and supporting independent media.
Right.
What are some other tangible things we can do to support a free press?
Yeah.
Like what actions can we take that go beyond just reading and thinking?
That's a great question. One of the most impactful things you can do is support organizations that are fighting for press freedom and investigative journalism.
Right. There are groups out there.
There are.
Doing incredible work.
Often on shoestring budgets.
Right.
And every little bit of support helps.
Absolutely.
Right.
These organizations rely on donations, subscriptions, and volunteer work to continue their vital mission.
For sure.
And don't underestimate the power of simply talking about these issues with your friends, family, and colleagues.
Word of mouth is powerful.
It is
the more we bring these issues into the light, the harder it becomes for them to stay hidden in the shadows. It's like that saying, sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Exactly.
Right.
And when you do talk about these issues, try to engage in civil and thoughtful dialogue.
Right.
Listen to different perspectives, even if you don't agree with them.
Of course.
Right.
It's all about creating a climate where these important conversations can happen.
Yes.
Openly and honestly.
Exactly.
And remember, democracy isn't a spectator sport.
No.
It requires active participation. You got it. And that means staying informed, engaging in civil discourse, and holding our elected officials accountable.
Absolutely.
Sometimes it even means taking a stand.
Yeah.
Even when it's uncomfortable or might cost you something, just like Ann Telnaes did.
Exactly.
But speaking of Telnaes, let's shift gears for a moment and delve deeper into the concept of deregulation, which was central to her critique.
Good point. It's easy to throw around terms like deregulation without really grasping what it means in practice.
Right. So let's break it down.
Okay.
What exactly does deregulation mean? Particularly in the context of Bezos and the tech industry, and how might it impact the average person's life? Well, so we're talking about powerful tech companies and deregulation. What does that actually look like?
Right.
And why should we care? Well, think about the things we rely on every day. The internet, our phones, social media. These are all heavily influenced by tech companies. Deregulation in this context could mean fewer rules around things like data privacy, net neutrality, or even antitrust laws.
Okay, so less oversight? Potentially leading to companies having more control over our data? What we see online, how much we pay for services.
Exactly.
Not exactly a comforting thought.
It's definitely something to be aware of. And it ties back into the power dynamics we were discussing earlier. When these massive companies have fewer regulations to contend with, their influence can grow even stronger And that can have ripple effects throughout society.
It's all connected, isn't it?
It is.
Like the freedom of the press, the influence of powerful corporations.
Our own ability to access accurate information and make informed decisions.
It's like a delicate ecosystem.
Yeah.
And if one part gets out of balance,
the
whole system can be affected.
And that brings us back to Ann Telnaes and her decision to quit the Washington Post.
Yeah.
While her situation might seem like an isolated incident, it actually speaks to a much larger issue.
Yeah.
The importance of safeguarding a free press and ensuring that diverse voices can be heard.
It's so important.
It's a reminder that we can't be complacent.
No.
We need to be actively engaged citizens
Yes.
who are willing to question those in power, support a free and independent press,
Right.
and make our voices heard.
Absolutely. And remember, a free press isn't just about protecting journalists.
Right.
It's about protecting our own right to speak freely and hold those in power accountable.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? Right.
What can we do to ensure that the light of a free press continues to shine brightly?
Well, we've touched on a few things already.
Yeah.
Be a critical consumer of information. Support organizations fighting for press freedom.
Right.
Engage in thoughtful dialogue. Hold our elected officials accountable.
Yep.
But there's one more thing I'd add.
Okay, I'm listening. What's the final piece of the puzzle?
Don't underestimate the power of your own voice.
Wow.
Speak up when you see injustice.
Okay.
Share information that you think is important.
Yeah.
Support journalists and media outlets that are committed to truth and accuracy.
It's almost like we each have a responsibility to be like a mini journalist in a way.
Right.
Fact-checking, sharing information, contributing to a more informed public discourse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every action, no matter how small, can contribute to a larger movement.
And when enough people raise their voices, it can create a wave of change that even the most powerful forces can't ignore.
So to our listeners out there, what will you do?
Yeah, what action will you take?
What action will you take to ensure that democracy doesn't die in darkness?
That's the question.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Join the conversation online.
Let's keep this dialogue going.
Let's keep this dialogue going because the future of a free press depends on all of us.